Tom. I'm Tom Noddy. We've known each other since, I don't know what, 82 or 85 or 81. I don't know.
Yeah, if you can remember the 80s, it's a lot like the 60s, you know.
Yeah, in the 70s. Yeah, then you weren't there.
Yeah, in the 70s, there was.
Yeah. But I mean, you were one of the things that made me realize that the country fair was actually really, really worth something. It was a really valuable place for experimentation and exposure to things that no one had ever seen. I'd never seen before. I'd never seen what you did before. You know, it was fabulous. So I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you here at the Community Village stage after all this time, man. I mean, I walked around thinking about what you did for ages, and then you came in to see me play at that little bar gig in Portland. You know, and I invited you on the stage there, and everybody kind of like, "What is that?" I mean, we could talk about this for the next hour and a half, but I think people kind of wanted to come and see you do your thing. So, you want me to just kind of step aside and then you?
Well, I like the talking too.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I like it.
So I was hitchhiking around. I'd artist the Spoon Man and you, Baby Gramps. There was a world out there, and then when I found you guys in Seattle and then, as you say, in Portland, and playing the same bars, looking to play the breaks and stuff.
Right.
And then, but when we all showed up at the country fair, and then all these other performers found each other at the fair, and then we made that the annual place that we always did. I only sometimes got to the Northwest, but then we had this regular beat going on.
But we'd meet up. Yeah, right. It was amazing. There's a story, and I don't know whether you told. I thought you told me once that you were doing bubbles on the street in Santa Cruz, and some guy watched you doing it and said, "I dare you. I'll film you, and I'll pay for you to send it to Johnny Carson, but you have to follow up." And you said, okay. So he filmed you and he gave you the money for the postage or something, and you sent it. And Johnny's agent, Johnny Flip, to get him. But you didn't have a phone number because you were like living in your car, right? And so, you know, how do you get a hold of the guy? But as luck would have it, you used to go into the Bubble Cafe to cash in your change, right? So they called the Bubble Cafe and left a message. And of course, you weren't there, so you had to call them back. And it's long distance. You couldn't afford long distance, so you called collect.
I like that version of the story.
Is that true at all?
There are all these elements. No, the Bubble Cafe is absolutely true. And it wasn't really the Tonight Show. That's Incredible.
Okay.
Show, That's Incredible. And they found me through the Bubble Cafe. They'd heard about this thing. And then they called and they said, "Do you have Tom Noddy?" They said, "No." "Do you have Bubble Magic?" They said, "No." "Do you have Bubble Show?" They said, "No." "Do you have Bubble anything?" And information gave him Bubble Cafe, and he called. Right. And yeah, I was a regular. You know, I would go. I know it's funny if you see the Bubble Man hanging out at the Bubble Cafe. So I would hang there, and I got to know Lupe Chavez. Lupe was the guy that had. Cool. He got the call and said, "Yeah, no, I know the guy. Yeah, no, I know. I watched that show, man. You know, I'll tell him. So yeah, he came running out and got me hooked up with that one. And meanwhile, Tonight Show had also heard about there's a new kind of act. There's a soap bubble. What? And they knew it was Santa Cruz, but they were. And they also had to track me down. They tracked me down through this store, this kids' clothing store that I hung out.
Well, it's so beautifully simple. How did you first get interested or turned on to the whole idea? I mean, you know, I could hear guitar players on the radio. You know, that's all. But how did you? I mean, you know, you were a kid. You were like what, 12 or something, or what?
No. I was a hippie. I was hitchhiking around. I went to Woodstock. I went to other stuff.
Oh, you were at Woodstock. Yeah, actually, wow. Yeah. Can I shake your hand?
Wow. Oh, yeah, there we go, right across the thing. Nice. And then I wanted to go to Europe and hitchhike around and be broke and, you know, be on the road. Yeah. I was good at it. I'm good at being broke.
Being broke, we were all good at being broke.
But I had to get the money to get there. So I took a job in a factory in New Jersey. I lived with my parents. And the day I took the job, I set a date for quitting. Okay, the hell with me. Cool. For the next 10, I circled the day. It was September 15th. I'll work every day. I was a hippie. I wasn't like a good worker.
Right.
But I had now that I had a date, okay, I got up every morning. I made my way, I punched the time clock. And every time I punched the time clock, I said, September 15th. I'm leaving here. Right. And then, but I had to entertain myself at home at night so I wouldn't go out and spend money. And my first idea was yo-yo. Some guys were good with yo. When I was 9 years old and I had a yo-yo, some people could loop the loop, rock the cradle, around the world, spaghetti, and I wasn't one of those kids. I could loop the loop, but I over the falls, walk the dog, but I couldn't, do the real tricks. But I'm 21. I can figure out a yo-yo. I'm more coordinated. I'm smarter. And so I came home every day just as an obsession. I would keep myself home by learning to do these tricks. And I learned how to do it. My father was going, "You're 21. You got a yo-yo. What's the matter with you?" But I got really good with it. And then I got bored because, it was a yo-yo.
Right.
And I was right. So, but it was a good plan. So I said, okay, what's another skill toy? So I got one of those wooden paddles with the elastic and a little red ball. Babbity, 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 babbity.
That only does so much. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 600 though. Babbity, babbity, and you could bounce it, but babbity, 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 babbity. All for something else. And my father was going, "This thing's really stupid. Go back to the yo-yo." and then I got bored, and then I thought, what else? Bubbles, but what do you do with bubbles? You're like, I guess you make a big one, and then after that, I guess you make a bigger one.
So how old were you? How old were you?
21.
21. Bubbles started at 21. Okay.
And for the next 10 months, I never got bored.
You never got bored.
Gorgeous. I mean, it was the 70s. The colors were gorgeous.
And man, yeah, they were in the 70s. Man, yeah. Yeah.
I came home every day, and at 10 months later, I went to Europe, and I was good at bubbles when I got there.
Well, let's take this opportunity to show everybody who's on the stream here and on your Zoom page, Zoom room here, to see just what you do with those things.
Okay,
Tom
good.
Noddy, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim Page. So I am going to do some bubble magic here live streaming, live, really here, responding. And I want to answer questions when we have time afterwards. But actually, the best way to see the act the first time really is to see it with an audience that responds out loud. And so I have a video. I have a little 12-minute video. It's a montage of clips from when we did shows at Seattle at the Moisture Festival in Seattle. And my friend, video guy, Alan Plotkin, put together this montage. We're going to play that first, give you a sense of the act, and then I'll come back live and answer questions. That's how we're going to do it. So right now, Adrian and friends there at the Wow Hall, bless your hearts, let's run the video.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I put bubbles inside of bubbles, smoke bubbles inside of smoke bubbles inside of clear bubbles, inside out bubbles, yin-yang bubbles, caterpillar bubbles, love bubbles, and a bubble cube. And the yin-yang bubbles are double bubble, a smoke bubble and a clear bubble, the clear bubble and the smoke bubble and the clear bubble. It's my most difficult trick to say.
I'll show you the caterpillar bubble. Yeah, some people think it's a worm. I don't understand those people. I think they don't see the antenna. Yeah, good catch, Tom. Heavy bubble, man. Yeah, these guys can dance. You all seen break dance? It's a caterpillar doing the worm. Probably where the confusion comes from. Do you ever wonder why they call it break dance? Nobody knows. Here, I'll show you bubbles inside of bubbles. Oops. No, I blew it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hate to use up that joker so early on. Okay. Can you see that one inside? Yeah, they're kind of hard to see. I know. There they are. This would be easier to see. I'll show you smoke bubbles inside of a clear bubble. I should mention, what you're seeing here today is the result of 45 years of playing with bubbles almost every day. Scary, isn't it? That's right. Y'all been doing other things all this time? I've been busy. Imagine my father. There's a happy man. First the hair, then the bubbles. He's thrilled. That's a souvenir. You can take that home if you like. So, yeah, there you go. In the pocket is best, I think. It's like this. I play a lot of clubs where magicians play. This is my impression of a magician. Ta-da! No, wait. Some of you don't believe I have a bubble in my pocket. They don't. Skeptics. They come. Okay, I'll show it to you. See, I don't know why they don't just trust me on this one. What is it? Yeah, it's a joke. I have to do this joke now, though, because when the little kids who are around nowadays, when they grow up, they're not going to know what that is. Last chance for the joke, you know. All right. Here, I'll show you the volcano, the Mount St. Helens bubble. Okay, starts with an earthquake. And then the eruption. Get me out of here. Okay, this is the inside-out bubble. Now, the inside-out bubble is a cheap trick. Remember, I warned you. But it is an inside-out bubble. You start with an ordinary bubble like that, right? And if you take this one back into here like this, and you turn this around. Yeah. Cheap trick. Okay, some people like the cheap trick. Look, this guy liked it. Some people like the cheap tricks. I'm with you. I really like it. Okay, one more cheap trick because you insist. Nose bubbles.
I love the nose bubbles, Tom.
Yeah, that's a nuclear bubble. No, don't worry, it's perfectly safe. No accidents are possible with nuclear. We just play with this stuff. We put one here, we put one over there. There's no danger. Wee, boing. No, that's okay, it was human error. Oh well. Thank you. Thank you. The next generation gets it. No, it's okay. If we have accidents with nuclear, we have backup systems. Back up, everybody, back up! It's all they figured out so far. That's all they got right there. All right, this is the love bubble. Now, love is one of the most difficult tricks. Yeah, some people laugh sooner than other people at that one. The band, huh? All right. It's especially difficult if you're looking for real love. Real love is when two become one. To get love, you have to overcome surface tension. Scientists told me that. Real love is oneness. Oh, come on, you've had that happen before. That happens. Don't give me that. It happens to everybody. You want real love, you have to keep trying, y'all. Keep trying. Kiki, that's wonderful. Okay, real love is oneness. Okay, that last couple, they broke up. Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at that, a baby. Hey. Yeah. This is Galactica, like stars and planets spinning in space, the final frontier. So good to have you guys here. The Fremont Philharmonic Orchestra. Yay!
No, it's okay. It only tastes bad the first 2 years. You keep going, for the art. This is the Land of Oz bubble. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. This one I showed to my friend. He was studying physics. I told him I could do a bubble cube. And he said, no, Tom, bubbles are minimal surface structures. They always fall into the smallest, tightest, most economical form possible, which is a sphere. Therefore, he said a bubble cube would be impossible. Well, he was studying physics, but he had an incomplete understanding of that science, which many of us have. Yeah, a cube. Cubes, it's square. People say square bubble, but a square is just like a flat thing. Like you can make on paper, you can make this 4 lines, and it's just flat down on the paper. But if you had a cube, like an ice cube, and you put that on the paper, it's not just flat. It sticks up into the world, right? It's 3D. Yeah, the real world's in 3D, you guys. Okay, yeah, I'll show you the bubble cube. It's even better.
At least 3D.
At least 3D. That's right. No, I know those mathematicians.
Have I seen you before?
They're doing like 11 dimensionals. These guys are gone. The good thing of it is a hyper tesseract. Nothing's impossible. No. What was that thing for? Repairs. Bubble magic is no illusions, it's real magic. Thank you very much.
You like?
Ooh, they're sticking in my hair. I have good hair for bubbles too. turns out that kind of Brillo stuff works. So am I being heard here? Everybody in the stream can hear me as I speak. Yeah, let me tell you what's going on really here. So we just played the video. Now I'm here live. This is live stream, Community Village live stream. And I set up a Zoom room, and I have some friends here who've come in there, and they're able to ask questions of me now and talk back and forth. If they have a question, they're going to raise their hand, and my wife will let me know that they've done that, and I'll take their questions. Or they could write it in the chat here in the Zoom room. Those of you in the stream, we didn't think we'd be able to interact with you, but my wife has also got the stream playing next to her, so you have a little chat too. So if somebody were to put a question in there and she catches it, she'll let me know. She's in the room across from me, so she'll let me know. Shelley DeMoore, my wife. We got married at the fair, 2009. On stage left. It's really official because the officiating was Reese Thomas, a juggler. So you know it's real. So I'm open for any questions. If you don't ask any questions, I'll talk about bubbles. I'll show you some bubble tricks that I think were not in the video. But if you do have any questions, raise your hand or write it in the chat. Nothing? Nothing. Let me show you. I showed you the bubble cube in that video. If you were watching the video, it was a bubble cube. A bubble surrounded by 6 other bubbles. If I could press you hard enough from 6 different directions, you'd be a cube too. That's the minimal surface possible in that environment. And then some physics guy saw it and said, well, can you do a dodecahedron? And that's, well, what's that? Dodeca means 12. So, okay, so 12 sides. 12 sides, he said, yeah, but the regular dodecahedron is 12 sides, all pentagons. Can you do that? And it became a goal for a long time. And New Year's 1980, I spent some time, me and Mescalito, at Last Chance Road. And it took a long time. And then I did find the dodecahedron. I call it the bubble jewel. I'll show it to you. Okay, 12 bubbles, one in the center is a dodecahedron. It's hard to see until I fog it up. All pentagons, the bubble jewel.
Wow.
Pythagoras, 600 BC, Greek guy, Pythagoras thought this was the most sacred form in nature. It was a sin within the religion of the Pythagoreans, we now call mathematics, to show this form to someone who is not initiated into their cult. So don't tell the Pythagoreans I showed it to you. Are there any questions? So here, let me give you some bubble tips. Here's one. Your kids do this all the time. They go, hey, look, I made a big, oh, wait. Okay, that's better. I was going to say, because I was so, there. Now, because the bubbles, you have to close it, right? Otherwise the air comes out. I'll show you one way to close it. Here's one way. Let go and catch it. When you let go, it closes the bubble, right? And the air doesn't come out. If you want to open it again, use a dry finger. Just touch it inside that little ring and then move your finger out of the way, and it does the same thing, only now it's a trick. But here's a better way. Instead of letting go and catching it, just turn the wand over. Here's the wand. Right now, the air is coming out. Turn the wand over. That closes it. And you don't have to go catch it. Saving that one for after the show. A little something to play with later. So that's a good one. Just turning the wand over like that. Bubbles inside of bubbles. Get really, oops. No, I blew it. Oh, I did the joke in the video, right? Okay. Get really close to it. Make a little whistle mouth. You don't have to whistle. Just one of those little round mouths. Get really close. Aim at the equator. A short burst. Just a little. If you did a long thing, you would just blow the bubble away. That's you want a little quick one, little like that. I mean, it makes sense. The principle is this: you dip the wand into the juice. That is the correct terms. You might want to write this down. It's the wand, the juice. Okay, so you dip the, and you have a film, right? And then if you blow against a sheet of soap film, it can make a bubble. Okay, and when we have a bubble, what we have is a sheet of soap film. And we just said, if you blow against a sheet of soap film, it can make a bubble. So the principle is the same. That is exactly the same as that. Yeah, so that's it. But the blow is different because it's a curved surface and you don't want to blow it away from you. And so you have to, you got to get the knack, and then the little kids learn how to do it. It's really doable. I should say it's not doable at every single bubble solution. I go to a dollar store these days. I used to go to Woolworths, and I'd get, it was a brand that looked like this at Woolworths in those days. Mr. Bubbles. Before that, they called it Wonder Bubbles. 35 cents for a 4-ounce jar of bubbles. And it works just fine. But if I got Miracle Bubbles, it didn't work. So I had to pick, which brands work. And now I go to a dollar store. They're all made in China. And I get one, and sometimes they work perfectly, no problem. I can do my act. And but even when I find that, the next time I go to the same dollar store, they've got a different brand, and it doesn't work, or it does work, or it doesn't. We don't know. And so I ended up just out of consistency. This stuff is made in Taiwan. It's called Uncle Bubbles. Can you see that kind of shiny Uncle Bubbles? I order it from the internet, and it's a concentrate. I love that. It's a concentrate. So 9 parts of water added to 1 part of Uncle Bubbles. That way, when I go to Europe, I only carry the concentrate. I don't have to carry all that water in my suitcase. I'll use their water when I get to Germany. Any questions? Let's see. Here's a good wonder for you. I'm going to do the bubble cube, and then I'll take it a step further. I'm going to blow at the construction that's around the bubble cube. You saw me do the cube. There are 6 bubbles around, 1 in the center. I'll fill it with fog so you can really see it. I'm going to blow at it, and the cube is going to suddenly shrink down to a much smaller cube. Then I'll ask you a question. Okay, 6 bubbles. I put 1 in the center. Cube-shaped bubble. Now I'm going to blow, and very quickly it'll change. That's an odd thing, isn't it? Okay, here's my question. The bubble cube, is that a bubble, or is it a space between bubbles? So to you again, and look at it with that in mind. Is it a bubble, or is it a space between bubbles? Okay. Looks like a bubble, right? But when I blew on it, it's a little burst of air that goes between 2 of the surrounding bubbles. It feels like nothing broke. Then I just separated those bubbles for a moment. There's higher pressure on the cube because it's a smaller bubble. Smaller bubbles always have higher pressure. So as soon as the outside bubbles opened up the gap, the air inside rushed out. I didn't break a wall to reach that air, that foggy air. I just separated the bubbles around it. So that's clear. So it is a space between bubbles. It's not a bubble, it's a space. Okay, 6 bubbles, 1 inside. Make sure everything's wet. Little blast of air. Shrinks down. So it's a space between bubbles, right? It's, however, wait a second. What is this? That's that same pocket. It's clearly a bubble. So I'm able to prove either one. Is it a bubble? Is it a space between bubbles? Is light a wave or a particle? The answer is yes. Depends on what experiment you use to address the question. I can prove that it is a bubble or that it is a space between bubbles.
We do have some questions.
Oh, good. Shelley says, I have some questions. Yes?
How important is breath control for blowing bubbles?
How important is breath control for blowing bubbles? For a lot of this stuff, it's hard for me to be the judge of that. I've been doing this almost every day for almost 50 years. They say, it's kind of just natural for me. So there are some where it's really clear. Let me show you, because we're going to run out of time at some point. Let me show you the star bubble. And this one, it's really important. The size of each of these little spikes, the little smoky spikes that make the star work. If I make them a little bit too big, they touch yet another bubble and it's a whole different shape. So I really have to control my breath on this one. Watch. Not a lot of room to mess up. Uh-oh. A lot of time to mess up and correct it either. Oh, wait a second. I've got to reduce the, I can't bear it. There it is. Yeah, breath control can be really important sometimes. I'm going to have to let that one rest. There's just too much time here.
I have another question if you want one.
Yes, please. Another question.
Please share the colors of the bubbles and what they mean.
Yeah, the colors on a bubble. That's a good question. Somebody asked, share about the colors on the bubble and what they mean. Every color, gorgeous colors, iridescent colors, brighter than, much better than rainbows. Really, when people say, "Oh, it's all the colors of the rainbow," there are colors that are not in a rainbow. Some people say, "Oh, every color is in the rainbow." It's magenta. There's magenta. When you see a magenta on a bubble, that's because the bubble right there where you're seeing the magenta is 211 nanometers thick. Every color on a bubble is a very specific indication of the thickness of the film right there, or at least from your point of view, from the point of view of your eye. And so when you first blow the bubble, typically there's a lot of pink and green, pink and green, pink and green, pink, and they're all kind of mottled up and stuff. After a while, when you hold it, you'll see that the colors settle down and the pinks and greens run to the bottom. That's the thickest part of the bubble. There's some crimson that comes in pretty quickly soon after. But after a while, they'll settle in as bands of color. And just above it, you'll start to get that, you see that ooh, yeah, that really nice violet color. Ooh, that golden thing up at the top right there. Ooh, that's a thin part of the bubble. Eventually, the top part, you'll start to see what look like holes, very specific thicknesses. Oh, that sky blue, that other blue. Ooh, and then it will look like holes. They call them black film at the top. When you see the black film form, it's not yet. When you see it form, oh yeah, it's starting to spill out a few places where it looks like there's nothing. There's something, otherwise the air would come out. It's less than a quarter of a wavelength of violet light thick. The soap bubbles typically are thinner than wavelengths of light. They're barely here. They are rightly coupled with fairies in a lot of the picture books that you grew up with, because they're existing in a realm that is just barely here on the physical plane with us. They just barely exist, thinner than wavelengths of light. And so that only happens. You'll see those colors in other places. Gasoline on water makes those same colors. You'll also see the magentas that you don't see in a rainbow. It's wave interference patterns. The waves of light are interfering with each other. The light reflecting off of the front part of the film and the back side of the film, which again is thinner than wavelengths of light. They're so close together that those little waves are able to step each other out of sync and in sync and increase the intensity of certain colors and subtract other colors from.
Wow.
It was my first interest in soap bubbles. It was the 70s, and I paid a lot of attention to the colors.
Wow. Yeah. Tom.
Yes.
Did you see about that beetle they just discovered that actually walks on the underside of the surface of the water?
No, right.
There was an article in The Guardian about it. It actually walks on the underside of the surface of the water like it was a glass tabletop.
Like the surface. Yeah. Whoa, bless the heart.
Isn't that trippy? You're talking about like it's almost not even here.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we're supposed to wrap it up here pretty soon, and I hate to.
Joanne Rand is going to be coming on the stream soon after me, so I'm looking forward to that. So I don't want to
me too.
overtime.
Me too. So it was a real joy and a pleasure for me to be able to watch that. I don't get to watch it that close, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was
right.
great.
One of the benefits of the pandemic is it put me here showing you some things that I wish I could show you.
Exactly. So I think, why don't I can I introduce Joanne Rand and someone from here? Would that make sense? Would that make sense, Adrian? With you guys? Yes, he's saying yes. Would that make sense, Tom? You could we could introduce you together.
No. You do it. I'm just going to watch. I love Joanne Rand.
I do too. I've known Joanne Rand for, I don't know. I met her like way back in the 80s sometime. I met her in the circuit, the environmental eco circuit, Northern California at the country fair.
Oh yeah.
And then she moved up to Seattle when her brother was sick, and stayed up there. And I met her, and I ran into her on the street in the University District, and she. We started making some music together. We did some gigs, and I learned some of her tunes. She learned some of mine. Hers are really complicated, I'll tell you. But she's the real deal. She's no pretense or posture. She's a tremendous writer and musician and all that. So it's great for me to be able to talk to her like that and bring her in. And also, this is interesting for me, Normal Bean. Now, I'd never heard of Normal Bean, but I'm looking at Normal Bean, and they're quite extraordinary. They've got they're this band of musicians. They're really good players, and they have dedicated themselves to taking the message of the dead to the people with a massive repertoire of tunes from the 60s to the present. No two shows are ever the same. Okay, they have past players in the band. They have like a revolving group of players. They've had past players from the Jerry Garcia band, Moby Grape, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Figure that one out, man. Quicksilver, Messenger Service, Country Doing the Fish, on and on and on. So I was watching them for a bit, and it's educational for me to do this emceeing thing. It's this host thing is really, really cool. So I get to actually introduce Joanne Rand, my friend Joanne, from the beautiful little town of Arcata, California. And I get to introduce Normal Bean from On the Road, taking the spirit of the dead all across the country. and I'll get out of the way now and let them take over.